It is beautiful to be with you on this rainy fall day in Costa Rica and to speak with you about really the most important thing, the most important tool for body-mind freedom, which is the Wheel of the Year or the Wheel of Life. Now, in modern times, and it's great to contextualize what modern means because it is a phenomenon of the past few hundred years that we've had electric lights. It is a phenomenon of the past few hundred years that we've lived in the capitalist system where relationships and products have become mediated and value has become mediated through money and consumption, right? So really all of our ancestors lived in a different relationship to the earth and a different relationship also to time. So there's all these myths involved in a relationship to time. And of course, time is like something, it's so foundational to the way we interact with the world that it's something we take for granted. But we know in this new paradigm that is arising on the planet and the destruction and releasing, the crashing down of institutions that are no longer of service, that we have to question these foundational ideas, our foundational relationship to the most basic elements of our experience in order to call on the wisdom of our ancestors, the wisdom of the earth that moves through us and is available at any moment. So we look back before electric lights and we see, yes, our ancestors were living by these various layers of cycles. There was, of course, the cycle of the day, the sunrise, sunset, again and again and again. There was the cycle, there was and is the cycle of the year, the cycle of the seasons, which is the relationship of the axis of the earth as it tilts in relationship to the sun. And then there's the relationship of the month based on the word moon. So that is the relationship between the sun and the moon via earth. Yes? So these are just the three basic cycles, and of course if we were to get an astrologer in here they would tell us the 5,000 other cycles that we are constantly involved with and impacted by. But on the most basic level, there's these three. So our ancestors understood, of course, the cycles of the seasons, the cycles of the month, and the cycles of the every day, and they had to live by these cycles. It wasn't an option, it wasn't a choice, it wasn't a cute woo-woo thing. And when I say our ancestors, I do mean our global ancestors, because no matter where your people are from, all of them lived by these cycles. So time was really understood as more of a circle or a spiral instead of what has happened more recently in this understanding of linear time. The problem with linear time thinking is that built into it is that myth of progress, as if there is some apex to which we are climbing as a civilization. So now we're really awakening back to the wisdom of the way that our people lived actually in harmony with themselves and each other by understanding time in a different way. Enter the Wheel of the Year. So you can see this graphic all over everywhere, right? Everything that has to do with body-mind freedom, because of course, this is our direct, simple, practical tool into liberation from the shackles of disconnection with ourselves, with the earth, with each other. So the Wheel of the Year, as simple as it looks, right? And of course it's a modern rendition of the ways that the assumptions that were made at most times on the planet. It is an invitation to step back into the organic cycles of the day, the month, the year, but also our own internal cycles. So not only, of course, as above, so below, as within, so without. This is the primary alchemical, foundational, mystical assumption, is that everything we see and experience is also happening on some level inside of us. And if it weren't, we wouldn't be able to see and experience it. So all of the destruction, the violence, the institutions breaking down, the patterns breaking down right now, of course, that's happening also inside of us as we heal, as we grow, as we release, as we shed, as we look into our shadow lands, as we love and accept ourselves on deeper and deeper levels. We are impacting the whole, of course. So living by the wheel of the year, well, that sounds like a big shift. Stepping into that really sweetly and gently and easefully is an invitation to invite our consciousness back into the circle, back into the never-ending wholeness of the circle. This is sometimes called feminine time versus masculine time, right? That just like points over there. So feminine time, the circle, the spiral, the constant growth, expansion, learning, and then coming back to the same point in the circle. So we come back to fall every year, and we're not just going in a loop, it's a spiral. So everything has shifted a little bit. We've grown, we've expanded, and yet we revisit that anchor point in order to continue our evolutionary process deeper and deeper layers of truth, which is really deeper and deeper layers of love for ourselves and each other, yeah? So I hope that the graphic is enough explanation. That's like an intro to the graphic. I hope that the explanation, you see it, you feel it, you interact with it, and you get curious about it is really the primary invitation. And then in other videos and other programs, of course, in other classes, we dive deep into the specificities at each juncture of the year. So we're invited not to think about this as a theoretical tool, but we're invited to think about it as the way that we relate to life. So, of course, not only are these seasons moving around us and the daylight is moving around us, but internally we're going through our own process of death. In any given moment, sometimes it's death of our relationships, right? Some relationships need to die so that the next one, the one that is appropriate for the moment can be reborn into our consciousness. Sometimes it's in the realm of our body, right? The greatest cycle we experience as humans is the cycle of our own birth into this world, and then our death. And again, as the wheel suggests, rebirth yet again, right? So see the joy work below to explore what parts of yourself, your life, your consciousness may be at that winter portal of releasing, letting go, shedding. And what parts of yourself are being born, are awakening, are enlivening, and how do they want to be served and nourished and even coddled, right, into being. And then, of course, we can even layer on how are those internal processes within you, which are happening all the time, how are they in relationship with the larger cycles around us? How does the fall ask us to let go of anything we might be clinging to or remaining attachments to intentions we set at the beginning of the year? How does winter invite us to be in the death, to be in the stillness, to be in the emptiness, to be in the surrender, to be in the gestation for what's next? And then how does spring, as we're in spring, how do those parts of ourselves that are wanting to be born, how are they getting that jolt of energy from the earth herself? I hope you enjoy the Wheel of the Year as a lifestyle, and just may we all be gentle with ourselves in adopting this lifestyle as slowly as our being asks us to. We can always only go as fast as the slowest part of ourself. That is wisdom from my teacher, Abby Tucker, and maybe I'll adopt that in adopting these new ways of being, thinking, relating to ourselves, our life, our inner shadows, the earth herself, and of course the resulting communal transformation and global transformation of businesses, transformation of education that results from these internal shifts, that we really have to be slow and patient. And the circle itself invites us into that wisdom, right? When it's always that straight line, that phallic line, there is a harshness there. But the intelligence, the wisdom, the guidance of the circle is step back, lean back into trust. Lean back into this inner unfolding. May we allow ourselves to be in this space of deep blossoming, and to trust that every flower blossoms in its own time and has its own timeline. And we are on the timeline of so many cycles that are greater than us, including ones that are way bigger than us, right? Talking universal cycles of our galaxy and beyond. Of course, like these are not specifically mapped onto the graphic, but we can make the assumption that there are larger and larger and larger cycles that our small, beautiful, extremely limited mind has no possible capacity to perceive at this particular moment in the evolution of human consciousness. And yet, how we can interact with them is just to rest into trust. So I pray that the Wheel of Life is for you a tool of inner transformation and a tool of faith and trust. Namaste.